Hello, consumer. I'm Carl, the author of Salesman's Tricks Exposed. After decades of mastering the art of persuasion in the trenches of the sales industry, I'm now here sharing those strategies to level the playing field between consumer and salesperson. My goal here is simple: to teach you the techniques and psychology strategies salespeople use to influence consumers to buy unwanted and unneeded products and services. Today I'm going to teach you why salespeople ask questions that have nothing to do with the product or service they're selling. It's a sales tool called the asking question sales approach. Have you ever noticed that when you're in most sales situations, they start asking questions that seem completely unrelated to what they're selling? And at first it seems like friendly conversation, but it's not. It's done by design. They're asking specific questions to uncover a consumer's needs, identify pain points, gauge interest, and determine how ready you are to move forward in the sales cycle. It's part of a strategy called the asking question sales approach. The salesperson isn't just asking questions. They're asking questions to gather information. They're trying to discover your emotional trigger, your pain and your pleasure, because those two emotions drive almost every buying decision that people make. Once a salesperson figures out what problem is bothering you through asking questions, your pain, and what result you really want, your pleasure, they can connect those feelings directly to their product. When that happens, closing the sale becomes much easier for them. Questions do two things. First, questions get you talking. And the more you talk and the more information you give, before you realize it, you're explaining the problem you're dealing with and the frustration you're experiencing, your pain, and the result you really want, your pleasure. Second, questions help the salesperson identify your pain points. Great example. A solar salesperson might ask, how long do you plan on staying in this house? Have your electricity bills been going up every year? How much was your highest summer electricity bill last year? They're not just curious. They're measuring your pain. And before long, you're reliving it. You're saying, yeah, last summer our electricity bill hit over $400, and it's frustrating paying those high energy bills. Feels like we have no control because no matter what we do, the electricity companies keep raising the rates. When a consumer starts talking like this, they're not just answering the question anymore. They're reliving the pain of the problem. And when a salesperson can get a consumer to reconnect with their pain, they become much easier to sell. Now that the salesperson got you to relive your pain of high energy bills, now they strike while the iron's hot and position the solar as the solution. So instead of just talking about solar panels, which is really all they should be doing, they start saying things like, imagine not having $400 summer electricity bills anymore. They're pulling on your emotions. At this point, the conversation is no longer about solar panels. It's about solving your $400 electricity bill problem. And that's what makes the sale much easier. This is a classic sales psychological sequence through asking questions, having the consumer relive the pain, attach the fear to rising energy cost, and offer relief with their product. Good salespeople know that surface questions and answers don't close deals. Penetrating questions do. And having consumers relive their pain during sales presentation will, and sometimes those questions get very uncomfortable. It forces the consumer to think about problems they've been avoiding. Whether it's saving money, expensive home repairs, rising energy costs, healthcare, legal bills. And when that happens, those penetrating questions push the conversation to a point where consumers can actually get frustrated or even mad. Let me give you an example that most people can relate to: buying a new or used car. The salesperson might start by asking a few simple questions like, what are you driving now? How long have you had it? How many miles are on it? Those questions seem simple, but they're actually designed to get you talking. You might respond, yeah, I had it 8 years. It's got 140,000 miles on it. The warranty expired, and now I'm starting to face expensive repair bills. Or you might say something different like, we're a one-car family. Now that my kids are grown, my wife needs a car to get back and forth from work. Depending on how you answered, the salesperson will know which direction to pivot the sale by leading the conversation in the way to get you to relive your pain. If the issue is expensive repair bills, they might say, yeah, once the car gets past 120,000 miles, the repair costs really start adding up. Most people in your situation start looking for something newer and more reliable. They're not constantly putting money into repairs. But if the issue is needing another car, once again, they pivot the sale a different way by saying, that happens a lot when kids get older. Families that were fine with one car suddenly need a second one so everyone can get where they need to go. Now, if you notice, the product didn't change. The conversation changed. The conversation was never about the features or the product. In this example, it's about solving either problem. Avoid expensive repairs or solve a transportation problem for the family. That's the power of asking questions in sales. It narrows it down to the exact pain point, and once the exact pain point is identified, the salesperson can position their product as the solution. Let me give you another example so you know it comes from every industry. Window replacement companies. They might ask, do you notice drafts in the window? Are some rooms harder to keep warm or cool? How old are your windows? You might respond by saying, our living room is freezing in the winter and the energy bills are ridiculous. Now they know your frustration is getting comfortable and high energy bills. So they pivot the conversation towards the product for the solution. Final example, roofing companies. They might ask, how old's your roof? Have you ever had any leaks during heavy rainstorms? Have you noticed any stains on the ceiling? You might say, actually, we have a leak last year and I'm worried it's going to get worse and cause more damage. Now you're reliving your pain of fear of more damage. So the salesperson focuses preventing costly future repairs. Or you might say, nah, that's not the problem. I'm actually planning on selling the house soon and I'm trying to get the best value out of it. Now, your pain point isn't fear of damage or maximizing it's maximizing the resale value of your home. So now the salesperson narrowed down exactly the problem and pivots the sale by saying, a lot of homeowners in your situation replace the roof before listing houses because buyers look at the roof first. And a brand new roof will make the house easier for you to sell, and it will help justify the higher asking price you are trying to get. Now, the salesperson is no longer selling more damage or costly repairs. They're selling increased home value. Again, the product didn't change. The conversation changed. In this situation, it's either to avoiding costly repairs or selling a home at a higher price. See how that works? Same product, different problem being talked about. Questions are not asked so the salesperson can better serve you. They are asked to better sell you. Let me say that again. Questions are not asked so a salesperson can better serve you. They are asked to better sell you. In any sales situation, when you are asked questions that seem to have nothing to do with the product or service, remember this. It's a strategy. It's a sales tool. The asking questions sales approach is one of the most powerful sales tools in a salesperson's arsenal. Every question narrows the focus, gets you talking, and helps the salesperson have you uncover your true pain points. As you answer, you often relive the frustration or problem you're experiencing. Once the salesperson clearly understands that pain, they use that information to pivot the conversation and position their product or service as the solution. Remember, sales professionals have an entire arsenal of tools on their belt. Consumers need them too. That is why I created the walkaway consumer approach to counter all their sales tools. And it's simple. When in doubt, walk away. If you dealt with pushy salespeople in the past using these sales tools, or if you avoided a scam or learned a lesson the hard way, like I know I did, share it in the comments. Your experience could help someone else avoid the same mistakes. I'll see you on the next episode. It's called the silent sales approach.